Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 472 for the 10th of June. For the Ukraine war, or the special military operation in Ukraine, which according to many people is supposed to last only 3 days, and now we are more than a year in. But I can tell you the truth. You want the red pill or the blue pill? Let me red pill you. Actually, we are in the matrix. We are actually, in a dream. We are actually, in the third level of the dream. To be honest, actually, not 1 year has passed. We have only passed like 1 day. No, you think that is 1 year plus. You think that you've done a lot, but actually only 1 day has passed. So, yeah, emotional damage. And let me bring you to the missile strike. The missile strike again happened over at the Myrhorod air base. And the Russia strikes Myrhorod air base again. This time round they used the Garand 2 suicide drones. Oh, and also missiles. So, 3 Sukhoi 24s allegedly was destroyed by Storm Shadow cruise missiles. Who are supposed to launch Storm Shadow cruise missile were allegedly destroyed. And there's also equipment infrastructures within the airbase are supposedly destroyed. And then there's allegedly 3 soldiers from United Kingdom and 11 from Ukraine were killed as well. They are allegedly also transported to a hospital in Kiev, which is a bit far, isn't it? To send to Kiev. Don't make sense in that part. But this is reported by Zoka, Zoka 200. I would say pro-Russian. Not really a source, but he's a channel. And so moving on to, I smell something. Oh man, it stinks, man. Oh, so smelly. It must be you guys, right? People who don't subscribe is very smelly. Please press the subscribe button. Oh my god, so smelly. Oh my god. In the Southern Front, there is nothing happening. In the Southern Front, press subscribe. Oh my god. Oh. And there's nothing happening over here in the Southern Front. Moving on to the Zaporizhzhia line in the Zaporizhzhia Front. Yeah, much better now. More of you guys have already pressed the like button. Oh my god. And the subscribe button. Press the subscribe button. So stinky, man. Fake, man. And in the Zaporizhzhia front, the Ukrainians have attacked Lubkove again. Information coming from Remelin 21, they say that he said that there's active battles taking place in the gray zones near Lubkove and over at Novosilka as well. So there is a different area. I will talk about it later. There's also information of fighting over at Mali Shebaki. This is reported by also Remelin 21. I do not know why he has so much intel, but he basically seems to have the most intel of all the Russian sources I've seen. And but he's a bit more casual in the way how he reports. And so far everything checks out. So far. They say that there is attacks being launched through Mali Shebaki. So yeah, that's all. Didn't seem to work out much in this area here. There is some known entrenchment around this area here. So which is why because if you see the defense, wrong color. If you see the defense line it looks like this. So as a result, the Ukrainians attack in these directions. And they don't really go around this area here. And moving on, so this is the area here, fighting at Lubkove and Mali Shebaki. This is part of the Kupyansk sector. Over at the Kharkiv sector, the Ukrainians continue the attack in this area over here south of Novosilka as well as south of Mala Tomashka. Information comes from Russian Defense Ministry. The Vostok group of forces reported that the Ukrainians were attacking. So far the attack has been repelled. At Mala Tomashka, they took out 3 tanks, 1 infantry fighting vehicle, 3 armored vehicles, and near Novosilka. So yeah, the not important. The losses are not important because it's really not important. Like for really not important. The only thing important is pressing the like button. So otherwise, yeah, it's just the Ukrainians attacking in this area here. They still have not seemed to break through. Even this salient here, I'm not sure if that's the case. Maybe it's just still here. Yeah, nothing very concrete just yet at this in this area to report on, other than the alleged fighting. And you have to also understand, because it's weekend, so it's a bit harder, a bit lesser information on the weekend, because some of the OCs like Ryba actually, you know, some of the personnel reporting on the Ukraine war actually go on leave, go rest on the weekend. And there is shelling reported at Novosilka, reported by the Vostok group of forces. They used heavy flamethrower system attacking Ukrainian strongholds, reportedly. And there is no big offensive operation from the Ukrainians from the Huaypole region yet. We haven't really seen any attack in this direction. Yeah. I wonder why. I wonder why they want to push in this direction where the entrenchment here is stupidly thick. That's I'm moving into the Velyka Novosilka sector of the Zaporizhzhia Front. The Ukrainian forces have good news for the pro-Ukrainians. They have captured Neshkushny, and they also captured Blahodatny. And the informations come from Ryba. The one at Blahodatny actually comes with Deep State UA as well, which is kind of a rarity because it's a pro-Ukrainian source, and usually they do not talk about capturing of settlements very early. But because they were informed by the 68th separate brigade about the capture of Blahodatny, and so the Ukrainians actually attacked down south, captured Blahodatny. The Russians actually withdrew from this area here, as also from Nekushny, because the Ukrainians previously were attacking in the western part of Nekushny, and as they push in, the Russian forces are worried about encirclement, so the Russian forces actually withdrew, and probably they are still at Starozeve. There's a high chance they are still there, and over on the western part, there is fighting reported at Rivnopil, according to Ryba. These are small groups attacks. They are small attacks, not major offensive over at this sector here. Maybe too much losses, so they haven't dared to make some major push. But these are small groups, and small groups can be successful too, because it's harder to detect. So yeah, so that's what's happening over at the Novosilka and Rivnopil sector. And over at we are now into the Donetsk Front. We are still within the Velyka Novosilka sector, and this is part of the same offensive. The Ukrainians were attacking Urzany. This is reported by Ryba, the pro-Russian source, on the right flank of the river. No, this is left flank. So on the right flank, this is just the eastern flank. The Ukrainian forces actually landed in the forest belt, and was able to advance towards Urzany. They're fighting near the village right now, so probably they are attacking through these forest lines. They are attacking through these forest lines, and they are moving. Instead of driving across the farmlands, they are attacking like this. So they are currently engaging the Russian forces in this area, especially there is Russian forces withdrawing from Blahodatny into Urzany. The Russian forces do have to secure the lines to ensure safe passage of the retreating Russian forces. Fighting is still on the outskirts, and so the Ukrainian forces haven't captured Urzany just yet. Russian Defense Ministry's Vostok group of forces say that they have taken out some Ukrainian forces near Oktyabrsk, which is kind of interesting, because Remlin 21 previously mentioned about the Russian forces managed to retake all this land. However, this is not corroborated by Ryba, the pro-Russian source. Ryba actually still maps the Ukrainian salients like this, as per what we have mapped over here. So that's why we have two different mapping, the blue mapping and the pink mapping, because the blue mapping is more pro-Ukrainian way of thinking, and then the reddish pink one is more of the pro-Russian way of thinking. And so far, it seems like with this information coming from the Russian Defense Ministry, it's most likely there is still some kind of salient on the Ukrainian side, on the western part of Novodonetsk. And then according to Rybar, the Ukrainian forces is trying again to attack Novodonetsk. They say that they're trying to reach Novodonetsk. However, they are being fought by the Russian forces in this area here, as well as being shelled by artillery as they come along. So yeah, it's interesting because previously the Ukrainians managed to even enter Novodonetsk, and however this time round they can't even get near. So the Russians definitely have some change in hearts into how they want to defend this area here. But the lack of defensive entrenchment in this area, there's no heavy entrenchment in this area, makes it easy for the Ukrainians to just roam around in this area here. They managed to just go everywhere they want. So we are seeing much more maneuvers from the Ukrainian side in this sector over here. So moving on from the Velyka Novosilka sector, there is fighting reported south of Vodian. This reported by the Vostok group of forces, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And so they managed to take out some Ukrainian forces in this area here. It's not a push, it's not really offensive. The information suggests it's just motorized rifle units taking out some manpowers on the Ukrainian side. I don't think it's offensive just yet. They are probably strengthening the line. They are probably moving up to strengthen the line to prepare for any potential Ukrainian raid, and with the additional manpower they are able to take out Ukrainian forces. That's my guess. Moving on to, in the Myrhorod region, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continue to report the Russians are fighting at Myrhorod. The previous information by the Russian Defense Ministry about the Ukrainians attacking in the north of Myrhorod is not repeated. So maybe the assault in the north is no longer being carried out by the Ukrainian forces. And over at the Avdiivka Front, everything went quiet. Nothing is happening over there, which is a surprise. And same thing at New York. New York is always very quiet. Yeah. And moving into the Bakhmut Front. At the Bakhmut Front, the Bakhmut continues with the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reports the Russians attacking towards Myrhorod, which I don't think is accurate. I think it is the Ukrainians are attacking in this area here. And over at Klishchiivka, the Rybar reported that there is a heavy assault by the Ukrainian forces towards Klishchiivka. Apparently, the fighting went on for 5 hours. The Ukrainians did not manage to break through the Russian lines, protecting Klishchiivka. And further up north in the northern flank, there is some progress for the Russians. The Russian forces allegedly have counterattacked at Bakhmut and managed to retake the choke point over at the southeast corner of the Bakhmut Reservoir. And allegedly the front line looks like this, with the Russian forces maybe capturing some of the forest line. However, this information comes from Rybar, the pro-Russian source. And however, Rybar also mentioned that the Ukrainian forces are now counter-attacking south of the reservoir. So the Ukrainian forces immediately counter-attack after the initial withdrawal of the frontline units, and they are still currently fighting for this choke point. And then there is reports from the pro-Russian source talking about the Ukrainians 200 Brigade of the Northern Fleet. Oh, sorry, the Ukrainian assault groups attacked the 200 Brigade of the Northern Fleet. I was thinking, since when Ukrainians have the Northern Fleet? At Dubovo-Vasilivka. So the Russians were holding the line and the Ukrainians were attacking the lines. So far, the offensive action has not been successful for the Ukrainians. And that's all from the Bakhmut Front. You can see the intensity seems to be a little bit smaller, but it's still there. The Ukrainian offensive at the Bakhmut Front is still ongoing. At the Siversk Front, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continued to report the Russians attacking Myrhorod. yeah, nothing much to talk about. And moving into the Crimea front, we have no information because usually the information comes from the Russian Defense Ministry. And yesterday's 12 noon report, I have already reported it as part of yesterday's SITREP, so we don't see the information in today's SITREP. And so nothing else from Svetove as well, and all the way now into the Kupyansk Front. At the Kupyansk Front, the Vostok group of forces, I believe, no Vostok, the Zapad group of forces reported there is some shelling in the area of Moshchanovo. The Russian forces are shelled somewhere in this area here. And given the fact that in the report, they say that the Ukrainian forces, have deployed troops near to Moshchanove. So previously we have the neutral source Surya maps talking about the line being something like this. I think it is a bit far because Moshchanove region is actually only here. So I think the Russians have already withdrew from this line here to a more defendable line. So I don't think the front line is that far apart. The Russian forces have withdrawn and hold a more defendable line around here. So which is why we are seeing Ukrainian forces progressing and deploying nearby, which prompts the shelling by the Russian forces. And there is also some actions over at Novosilka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, they say that there is artillery and anti-tank missile system crews of the 6th Combined Arms Army fighting against the Ukrainians over at Novosilka. So this is interesting because this makes me feel like as if they're acknowledging that the Russians actually do have positions over at Novosilka. It's not 100% indicative just yet, but it does sounds like it because this area here, there's a lot of high grounds, and to have anti-tank missile systems, yeah, it's a bit hard to tell. We'll continue to monitor. I'll just say that that's the best way to do it, to deal with this situation. And moving into the Kharkiv Front, the former Happy Front for the Ukrainians, the Russian forces actually counter invade across the border. This time now fighting is at Ohilsky, Ohilseve, or Ogosovo. I think the Russian name just makes more sense. It's just much more easier to pronounce. Because the Ukrainians actually don't pronounce it as H, they pronounce it as G, but they deliberately write H, and thus deliberately pronounce it as H, just so that it makes them look silly. And because why anyhow change the spelling? I don't understand. At Ogosovo, the Russian forces were conducting reconnaissance and search operation, and the special forces unit, probably the Spetsnaz, discovered Ukrainian forces, and they destroyed 2 tanks and up to 10 Ukrainian troops over in this area here. So the Russian forces actually penetrate into Ukrainian territory and struck the Ukrainian forces that is currently holding up in this area here, which probably, you know, in these towns, the Ukrainians are probably planning more raids into the Russian territory, because why not? So yeah, with 2 tanks destroyed, that's actually quite bad, because yeah, tanks is in short supply, I guess, and it's a limited resource. So that's all from the Kharkiv Front, and that's it. That is the summary for the day of 472 for the 10th of June. So this is the second day that I conduct the SITREP at this pacing. So let me know what you think, if you really liked it, and yeah, so that, you know, it's also easier for me to talk. Just that the on the flip side, the video will be a bit longer because I'm speaking much slower, and also, you know, it was very smelly, you know. So people, if you didn't subscribe, oh my god, you're contributing to air pollution. So no, please subscribe, subscribe. And thank you for watching. And I see some of this feedback about telling me to do the entire SITREP in Singlish. you guys will regret it. Like, you can't even understand it through the closed caption. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.